Yeah. Hello. Yeah. So welcome to the summit. I would like to quickly. I think you are like maybe 8 minutes early, but you can just do some quick introduction. And if you have, I invited some of your friends, so let them join also. Okay. So let me give a quick round of introduction to Adil Hosen. Okay. So Adhi is going to talk about bringing execution to the strategy. Bringing execution to strategy, turning vision into action. So Adhi is connecting from Jakarta. So you see, so we are connecting all part of the world today. So Adhi is connecting from Jakarta. So welcome back, welcome to the summit. So to give a quick round of introduction, Adhi is a seasoned consultant adept at forming high performance teams and executing strategic initiatives, sectors and functions in Southeast Asia and Middle East. He specialized in data-driven approaches, process optimization, and stakeholder influence to drive sustainable growth and deliver real, tangible results. So he is also certified in Six Sigma quality and whatnot. So he is a balanced scorecard practitioner for quite a long time. I know he's been with the balance scorecard since Palladium days. Okay, so welcome to the summit. So you can give a quick round of introduction from yourself and take it from there. So thank you.
Sure. Greeting from Indonesia. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah, because I'm still getting familiar with WebEx. I cannot see my own face. So just making sure. Yeah. Okay.
From there.
Let me just. Okay. All right. So quick introduction about myself. Thank you, Sheikh Abdul. So I've been practicing balance scorecard and strategy execution premium for the last, let me try to remember, since 2010. So for the last almost 15 years. So I've been working since 2001. So I started my career as a banker. I was in HSBC, Citibank, and all the multinational bank. And then I thought to myself, there must be something outside banking, right? So that's when I joined Palladium at the time. I was fortunate enough to be able to work directly with the founders of Balance Scorecard themselves at the time. I had the opportunity working with the late Norton at the time, Dr. Norton, and also accompanying Dr. Kaplan when we had a what do you call it? It was like a summit in Mumbai back in 2014. And in the past around 15 years, although I haven't been with Palladium all those time, my go-to tool when I do the strategy development and the strategy execution has always been mostly using Balance Scorecard and Strategy Execution Premium. And I've worked with clients in predominantly Indonesia and Southeast Asia as well, in Thailand and Singapore lately. And then I had the opportunity to work with clients in Saudi Arabia as well. So yes, so in this opportunity, I want to share maybe the so-called lighter part of strategy. I'm an execution guy. I know that we've heard all the experts just now talking about how you formulate the strategy and everything. But having been both in the what do you call it, industries and in consulting, at the end of the day, the determining part whether you are successful or not is actually the strategy itself. Okay, so which brings me to my topic this afternoon. Let me just...
You want to share?
Yes. I think, can you see
your
my
screen? Yeah, we can see your presentation.
Yeah. Let me
put
just
them into
yeah.
PowerPoint. Yeah, perfect.
Right. Okay. So just relax. I mean, I tend to be too serious myself. That's one input that I got from my client. But since it's it's Sunday in here, it's a very long weekend in Jakarta. We have holiday from what do you call it, Monday to Wednesday. So at this part of the world, people are relaxing, going for holiday, going out of town. So yeah, we're here talking about execution, how to make things happen. So yeah, this weekend, let's have some relaxed time. Strategy is actually fun, but we need to understand why execution matters, because based on the Harvard this review study, 60%, 67% of strategies fail due to poor execution. Now we need to change that, right? And we need to engage and collaborate to make sure that whatever ideas we have could put on the table, and to keep the momentum, we need to celebrate all the small wins, all the quick wins, and then get ready, to dive in to this session. So why execution matters a lot, right? So execution is where dreams meet reality. Okay? Because after going to the offsite meeting and everything, usually people get back to their office trying to execute their strategy, right? And sorry, I just want to make sure that my can everybody see my presentation, because there's a problem with my connection here.
Oh, yes, we can see.
Oh, yeah.
I can.
Yeah. How can I? Sorry, just to make sure that I'm still on. So just quick question. So if I can still see my presentation, it means that I'm still on, right? Because I cannot see the other participant here. Let me just.
Yeah, we are able to see you. Yeah, please
Okay.
proceed.
Because sometimes I've been talking to myself like a radio announcer. There was nobody on the other side.
We will alert you.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, going back to my slide. So why does it matter, right? So usually after going to the offsite meeting, usually during October or maybe September, the management team go back to their division, try to cascade whatever already agreed with the board, but somehow it it stuck, somehow it stuck. So how can we turn this strategy into action? I think that's the key question that we need to answer, right? So by the end of this session, hopefully I can share all the tools needed so that whatever strategy that we already committed, in the organization can be executed, right? So just quickly to go through this one. So strategy is only as good as its execution, right? So all those papers, documents that you write down, that you discuss, will mean nothing if you don't execute it. So that's why execution means a lot. All right, moving on. So why, what stopped great strategies from succeeding? Let's find out, right? So from misalignment between vision and operational priorities, right? So right, going back to my example of all the board of directors, executive and senior management going to their offsite. Usually, they go to Bali or somewhere which is nice, and then they refresh their vision. Okay, this is where we want to be in the 5 years time, 10 years time. But when you go back, then if you don't consider the operational priorities during the visioning, what do you call it, process, then if you don't align with the operational priorities, then the realities will hit you back, right? Oh, we dream of having, for example, I'm helping this coffee business. We dream of having 100 outlets all over Indonesia. But then when we go back, oh no, we don't think we can do that quickly because we are lacking in our manpower. We don't have people who are at that quality that could actually launch the what do you call it, new outlets with a new concept very quickly in short period of time. And then what else that serves as the common pitfalls? The lack of accountability and measurable outcome. So yeah, when we dream of our vision, we need to put a name. So who's going to be accountable for this one? Okay, right. Myself, Adhy. Adhy, you're accountable to drive the launch of outlets in the eastern part of Indonesia. All right. How many outlets? 50 outlets, for example, right? So you need to be measured, and by when, right? 50 is such a huge numbers, so you need to break it down in smaller pieces, right? Okay, let's see, 35 outlets per semester, then you can manage it. So there has to be the accountability. You need to put the name. So who's going to be actually owning that strategy and the actual metrics that this person is going to deliver. So without that, you're not going to execute the strategy well. And what will be the next pitfall? Resource constraints and silos, right? I think this is like a very classic, classic strategy. What do you call it? Challenge, right? So people feel that, oh, okay, I'm a HR guy. What I do, I simply recruit, train, and the rest I leave it to the operation guy. And maybe the operation guy thinks, okay, we don't have enough people yet to actually man the outlets that are going to be launched. I don't know what to do. So there's this, ongoing mentality wherever you go. I mean, I help people in Indonesia, in KSA, same things. They feel that, okay, this is my own little, I don't know, like empire. I take care of this. If everything is going well in my own, unit, then it's fine. So this is the next, common pitfall of strategy. People need to be feeling that they're part of the bigger team. If they don't have that feeling, if they don't are still working in silos, the execution is not going to happen. And then last but not least is the overly complex plans, right? So I know that for some, let me just, for some clients, when they see balance scorecard, all the bubbles, all the strategic themes, all the measuring intent and strategic objectives, they sometimes or most of the time ask me, hey, is this rocket science? So we need to be able to speak with the language of the what do you call it, clients or the people on the ground, so that whatever has been agreed at the visual level can be translated into a strategy and then can be executed at the ground floor. So for example, going back to the retail or F&B, what do you call it, business. So you need to be able to boil it down to the people at the ground floor. Like for example, for the barista, for example, right? So what do you want me to do? So hey, what you need to do? Brew good coffee, yeah, based on whatever the customers want, right? Whether they want, Americano, Piccolo, or something, and then do it in the time that they want. Don't take too long to serve it, and then serve it with a smile. So those three things are actually the things that the people at the ground floor need to know. This is how you're going to execute our strategy. So don't give them the overly complex plan of strategy map with the strategic themes, with the measure intent, with all of those what do you call it? Thick documents that were discussed during the offsite meeting. So those are the common pitfalls of strategy execution. We need to avoid this common pitfalls to make it happen. All right, and then why execution fails? Like what I mentioned in the beginning, based on the research globally, 67%. Wow, that's like more than half, right? Of strategies fail due to poor execution, right? So think about the cost of doing this strategy. If more than half of what we have already agreed, what we think that we execute actually fail. Think about the cost. Think about the loss for the organization. And then in terms of the communication gap, you see, only 3 out of 10 employees understand. So I found out this truth myself, firsthand myself as a consultant. Like maybe only 1 or sometimes 0 employees understand what their company strategy, or maybe there are 3 or 4 employees understand their strategy, but the understanding is not like 100%. It's only 50% of strategy, or maybe only 30% of the strategy. So there's this huge gap that causing the failure of the execution. And last but not least is that complexity conundrum, right? So it's too complex. They hire this consultant. The consultant give them this concepts, and then they try to put it into very thick documents. They try to make sure that all the scenarios are covered and everything, but then they fail to. I mean, the organization fail to make it simple enough for the people at the ground floor to actually execute it and to get results. So these are the 3 common things that are causing the failure of strategy. And these days, people are talking about sustainability. Of course, we want to have business that lasts, right? Not just quick wins, but something that we build now and can sustain for the next decades, right, or even centuries. And to be able to do that, I think I listened to the previous talk. We I think focus on the same thing, which is the adaptability and resilience, right? Because we've all heard this, like the only constant is the change itself, right? So we need to embrace change and bounce back from every setbacks. In terms of the framework, I try to make it as simple as possible, because if you read the strategy execution premium, there are more than 4 steps to do strategy, but let's make it much more simpler. Like, first of all, you need to clarify what's the vision. Usually the vision will remain the same for like 5 to a year's time. What we need to do during the whole get together of the senior manager or executive, usually we just refresh the strategy again and make sure that it's still relevant. And then we need to translate that those vision into the goals, into targets, right? So for example, in the current client that I engage, they know the vision of dominating the Indonesian market. They want to have outlets all over Indonesia. So we need to translate it into a tangible goal. So what does it mean to dominate the market in Indonesia? Oh, we want to be everywhere. Okay, what does it mean to be everywhere? Oh, we want to have our presence in all Indonesian first-tier cities, for example. and then that's how it's measured, right? So there's a like what do you call it? Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Right, please carry on.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, because I only see my
Yeah.
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 If there's a question, feel free to jump in, rather than
We
me
will do
having
that.
a mono.
We will do that. Yes.
Sorry.
We will do that.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So where was I? Okay. Yeah. So we need to be able to translate that into targets, right? Which is goals. So people sometimes say goal, sometimes say target. So translate all the big lofty vision into a target that is specific, measurable, can be achievable as well. But sometimes, executives have a debate. What is achievable, right? My idea of achievable is this, right? And then the idea of the managers at the outlet level is still here. So yeah, we need to agree on what is achievable in terms of target or goals, and then relevant for that and time. You need to have an actual timeline to achieve that goals. So this is, I think, common knowledge, right? And then to achieve that, you need to pull all the resources that you have from all departments, the manpower, the system, the budget in terms of the capital, and you need to assign the ownership. As I mentioned before, who's owning which strategic objective, who's owning which strategic initiative to fill in the gap. If we see that, for example, hey, if we look at the outlets and we depend on the same store, same growth, we still have a quite sizable gap, right? So to fill in the gap, you need to have a strategic initiative. So who's going to, be responsible for the strategic initiative? How much fund do we need for this strategic initiative to work, right? And what kind of system do you need? The new system, the AI, things like that. Do we need to outsource it, or do we have in-house talent that can actually deliver this? And last but not least, of course, we need to monitor this after it's cascaded and people execute it. So usually, if we follow the methodology, we have the strategy review meeting. Strategy review meeting usually is conducted once a month with the GMs or the CEO of the company, and with their one down, or maybe with the what do you call it, the project manager themselves, so that you can keep an eye on the progress, right? Whether we hit the mark, are we still on track according to the milestone? If is there if we look at the traffic light, is there a red, green, yellow, any red that we need to be mindful of, right? And this is like regular feedback loops, so that everybody is on the same page. And if there's a hiccup, or if there's a force major happening, then maybe we can somehow tweak the plan, or maybe pivot altogether from the strategy that we already agreed. So that's when talk about the monitoring and adjusting continuously. All right, moving on. So yeah, as I mentioned before, first step is all about clarifying the vision, right? So usually in an organization, they have one, page with the simple vision, big ideas, where you want to be, who do you want to serve, how much, revenue that we want to have sometimes, right? Sometimes people put the numbers in the vision itself. So this is like your North Star, right? Where you want to go is your guiding star. So usually the vision is not changed in the next 5 to years time. So that if you have changing goals, you can look, okay, for example, we want to achieve 100 outlets all over Indonesia, right, in 2025, because the vision is to dominate the market. But somewhere along the line, maybe you see, oh, maybe 100 goals is not enough. 100 outlets is not enough actually, because you have people coming from, China, from America, trying to tap into the market because Indonesia is such a sexy market. Then to achieve that North Star, the goal that you already agreed might not be enough. Then you need to align the goals with that. And you need to engage the team. Hey, guys, here's our vision. Here's what's happening in the environment. We need to be agile. We need to adapt. We managed to get more funding. We need to ramp up our effort. And here's the adjusted goal. And yeah, okay. Actually, I touched on this briefly earlier. So how do we actually translate the vision into goals, right? So usually they have this, what do you call it, offsite meeting where we discuss the, maybe we are familiar with the BHAG, right? Goal, the big, hairy, audacious goals. And we want to translate that, the goal, the big, bold vision, make it into bite-sized pieces, and then set the goals into something specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant. And then have a goal tree, like an analysis. All right, so with this vision, what goal that I need to achieve, when, who's going to do it, so on and so forth, and make sure that everybody is aligned in achieving that goal. Moving along. So yes, you need to align your resources, have the ownership, know who's going to be in charge. And in my experience, just to share the the reality, sometimes the client told me that, hey, actually for this project or for this initiative, I cannot be the person who is in charge, but I can do it, but I need somebody with me. So it will be a owner of the strategic initiatives rather than myself being responsible for this strategic initiative. In my experience, that's bad. I mean, I tried that and it wasn't successful, to say the least. Long story short, you need to have one person to actually own the objective or one person to own the strategic initiative. Because if there's more than one, then, for example, I myself, Adhy, and I have my friend Adhy, and when I think that, okay, I'm doing this bit, I'm doing the ideation part, Ali will do the execution part. So it turned out that there was a misunderstanding and it's not happening. So it has to be clear who's in charge, and by who's in charge, I mean there has to be one single person who's accountable for that, be it goals or initiative. And then for that objective, for that initiative, you have to have the budget, the right tools, right? What tools is it? Is it balance scorecard itself, or is it the software that we use? And then the talent, right? We need to make sure that we have the talent that can actually execute. So that's why usually during the whole process with client, in the beginning, we make sure that everybody is trained on balance scorecard and strategy execution premium to make sure that they know first and then they can execute. And then encourage the cross-functional collaboration, of course. And then last but not least, of course, as I mentioned, you need to monitor it. What to monitor? You need to set up your KPIs so that you know, right? Exactly. It's like a dashboard. Okay, we need to be able to launch the outlets in January in this and this city, right? One outlet for each city. So come at end of January, you know whether or not this person or this strategic initiative owner actually achieved that KPI. And of course, we have to have an easy dashboard that we can access to, so it's clear. People don't have to shift through all thick documents to find out whether or not things are in place or somebody hits the milestone or not. And then establish the feedback loops. So there will be reports, there will be meetings that will, be the source of information on the progress of the strategy itself. And of course, as I mentioned time and again, we live in a world where we need to be able to adapt and be resilient. So be ready to pivot if need be, right? And yes, key tools for execution that we can use. We have the OKR. OKR is like the strategic objectives in strategic execution premium, right? So you know what objectives that you need to achieve, and then if possible, you have the project management software. Usually, to begin with, they don't use the software yet, and it helps to have a tool so that
Like the idea.
yeah.
Yeah, you just said, OKR is like a strategic objectives of balance scorecard. Okay, so maybe it's little bigger objectives. Maybe you can combine 2, 3 objectives together, and then you can use it as a OKR. Okay, so many people don't understand this. Maybe you can just give at the end of the session. How does that OKR and balance scorecard are linked? Maybe sometime. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. Let me touch on that. So in balance scorecard or strategy execution premium, okay, usually we have the vision, right? Vision and translate into goals. Goals to achieve these goals, like for example, the 1 billion revenue, you need to translate it into strategic objective for each strategic perspective. Right? For example, in financial aspect, you have to achieve this. Maybe you have accelerate revenue 10 times, right? Accelerate revenue. Okay, that's the strategic objectives. This is the strategic objectives. But then what does it mean to accelerate revenue, right? So this is the OKR, so to speak. In the language of balance scorecard, it's the strategic objective. So accelerate revenue, what does it mean? So you can cascade it down to the KPI, right? So to accelerate revenue in financial perspective, it means that you need to have the revenue like 5 times of what you had from last year. So that's maybe the first KPI, right? And then how to accelerate, you need to also reduce or maybe optimize the costs related to manufacturing. And then maybe you that one is on the what do you call it, process perspective. And in the maybe in the learning and growth perspective, you need to have the right talent to actually help drive the acceleration of revenue. So the OKR itself, or the strategic objective itself, is the combination of several KPIs altogether. So does that make sense?
Yeah, just I wanted to see, because it's the OKR is not a replacement to balance scorecard. That is
Yes.
the
Yeah.
point. It's a OKR is like you use it for some reason, for purpose, but it is not really. You don't know. It does not tell about strategy. Okay, it talks
I
about
see.
something, but it does not really tell about strategy itself. Okay, so whereas the balance scorecard, it talk about the strategy, then it talk about how it is executed. The full
I see.
cycle.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, because sometimes people get misunderstood, right? They think it's interchangeable. Like KPI is OKR, but there's a intersection between KPR and OKR, but it's not actually 100% the same. All right. Then you need to have the going back. Another key tools, you need to have the regular strategy reviews. Right. What I shared just now. Usually we have the strategy review meeting on a monthly basis and on a quarterly basis as well, so that people can can monitor, and then if there's a big decision that needs the approval from the executives or from the owners themselves, you can actually use this strategy review meeting as the forum where you can voice out that what do you call it, concern. And okay, so basically, real world success story. I was going to put my, but I haven't got the approval yet from a client, so just have the company A here. So basically, in my own experience, actually, it's worse than 67% failure rate because wherever I went, actually, before we help them, it's like almost 100% what they what they already planned wasn't successful. So that's why they needed a consultant. And I think this statistic is actually for the what do you call it, global audience. So it's that bad actually. So why is there such a high failure rate in strategy execution? To make it simple, I think because most of the practitioners, especially those who inherit the business from their family, like they are the third generation, right, or maybe fourth generation. They're depending on the like wisdom. I'm not saying that wisdom is wrong. They may be depending on the wisdom of the founders, and which is good actually, and then intuition. But we need to make sure that whatever wisdom, whatever vision that the founders have can actually be translated at the ground floor. So this is where the breakdown actually happened. So what does it mean, right? For example, when I mentioned, what does it mean for a barista at the coffee shop when the founders tell him or her that we need to dominate the market, right? Hey, I make coffee. I make great coffee. Right? So that's what they know, and that's what they need to do, right? So we need to actually translate this. Okay, so what you need to do on a daily basis is to actually increase, right, the speed of process, for example, right, that you need to do from the moment that the customer orders until you serve it on their table. And we are going to monitor the amount of time required for you to actually do the whole end-to-end process from the order until the fulfillment. So this is the thing that makes sure that the strategy gets executed. So people, even at the founders level, the owners level, know that for each outlet that I have, all those people at the front line are actually executing the strategy, delivering the service, making the customer smile, having the product, the service that they want. So this is crucial, right? How you, as I don't know, consultant or strategy management office who's in the organization, can actually bring that vision into action. And to add another example, maybe I used to help the business as well in Saudi Arabia. They are doing freight forwarding, right? And at the board level, we're clear, right? Okay, time is tough. We need to launch a new product. We need to have a freight forwarding service on top of whatever we already have. And then how to actually execute it? Because it turned out that the people at the ground level that actually have the know-how and the training on this new product is close to zero, right? So there's this huge gap that we need to fill in before we make sure that whatever envisioned by the owners, founders, the C-level people can actually be translated into action. They need to know, hey, this is the product that I'm going to deliver. This is the, what do you call it, agreed SLA, service level agreement. And the stakeholders from the government expect me to have this kind of permit. So there's a lot of things that should be translated again at the ground level to ensure that the strategy can actually be executed. And okay, moving on to another example, silo to synergy, right? So in my experience, so when we have the nice offsite and everything with the C-level people, it feels that all the executives, all the directors have the same understanding, same vibe. People are, having good time as well during the offsite, exchanging ideas. And little that I know, when they went back to their own little, kingdom, there's this silo, right? Oh, we are finance, we crunch numbers. This is what we what we produce. We produce report. And the operations guy said, "Oh, we don't care about the budget. We just want to do this at the office. Come at the office at 9, do whatever we can, go back at 5." And there's still that what do you call it, mentality. So we need to break down all the silos, cascade the strategy, have another session actually for the head of department or head of division with the founders in the same room, giving them the what they call it, aspiration of the company right from the founder's mouth himself. And with that, it really opened up the communication between all these different division, department, and cross-functional collaboration start to happen, and it really boosts the whole productivity and morale. And if they're not sure about things, if, for example, operation people will not be shy to pick up the phone and call their colleague in the finance department to clarify things that they need to clarify. So this is based on the real world success stories. You need to break down the silos to make the synergies happen. And I'm just going to touch this briefly. So the argument against strategy people, usually they say that culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So they said, oh, strategy, what is strategy? This is the culture of our organization, which is not wrong actually. So we need to be able to go hand in hand, between strategy and the culture. We need to be able to embed the strategic thinking and the execution into the culture themselves. So going back to the actual practical, what do you call it, example. So in my client's example, they have this what do you call it, morning briefing every day, be it a coffee shop, coffee company. They discuss in the morning at 7 a.m. every single day, what happened yesterday or what happened last week, and then is there a bottleneck that we need to solve. So actually there's already this what do you call it, culture of communication there. So we just need to incorporate the strategy execution, the whole process into the what do you call it, the established culture in that company, so that it becomes their own thing rather than something that force into them. And of course, with that, we can foster the accountability, right? So, and then of course we can celebrate the small wins of that, and this of course encourage the open communication between the whole team involved. And leadership is of course very important, right? Everything starts from the top. The top needs to mobilize the team. They need to inspire the team by providing clarity and direction, telling them this is our North Star, this is our direction for this year. And everybody usually listens to the chairman or founders of the organization. So it should start from the top, right? So the leaders themselves should be the champion of execution. And accountability should be part of the culture itself, right? So you cannot simply say, okay, this will be executed by the, for example, operations guy. This will be so just we need to have a clear accountability. Okay, Adhy, as a consultant, I need to have, for example, RACI metrics. In the RACI metrics, please briefly, paint the picture of who's responsible, who's accountable, who's need to be consulted, who's need to be involved in this project. And again, okay, practical tips: keep it simple. Don't make it like a rocket science. Communicate, and communicate. Right, repetition, is key. Make sure everybody, is on the same page. And of course, we need to celebrate the wins every time to keep the momentum happening. And engage and empower, right? It's all about collaboration from the team. And address the resistance. Okay, this is quite interesting. So, like in any organization, usually there's that fear of the unknown, right? So, and usually, I hate to say this, there's this old guards who say that, oh, this is our tradition, right? We don't do this, we don't serve this kind of product, or we don't do this service. So why do they have that mentality? Actually, it boils down to the fear, right? They're scared. Okay, if we don't do this, there'll be uncertainty, right? Are you sure that it's going to happen? Are you sure that it's not going to jeopardize our performance? We just need to address that, right? So how to do it? We need to engage the stakeholders early. We need to communicate the why, right? Hey, why do we need to dominate the market? Because it's going to be saturated. Market is already fragmented. In the next 3 to 5 years time, if we don't change, will disappear. Customers will go to our competition. So we need to engage them and tell and sell the the why itself. And of course, like what I mentioned, we also need to equip the guys as well, the team, because if they don't know, if they don't have the know-how, how can they actually deliver, right? So have the resources, the people, and the training to do whatever they need to do to execute. And okay, so how to measure success? You have your KPI, as I mentioned, right? So KPI is very specific, like revenue growth. How much sales you need to achieve, the cost, how to optimize the cost, what sort of cost that you need to save. Is it the manufacturing cost, capex, opex, and everything? And how about the customer perspective? You need to measure that as well. So going back to the balanced scorecard concept, all the 4 perspectives have to be clearly what do you call it, measured and tracked, so that we know where we are, and we know whether we actually are arriving at our milestone. And it's a feedback loops, and we always celebrate our milestones, and we of course we need to benchmark every time with the goal, so that we know whether we are on track, or we are behind, or we are maybe ahead of the goal. And continuous improvement is something that close to heart, because I used to be a master black belt myself. So we need to continuously try to see areas where we could actually improve the operations, to stabilize the process. And this is how you actually measure your success. And then, call to action. So basically, the three things that we need to do to bring the execution to strategy. So bridge the gap, right? So execution is the one that bridge the gap from the strategy itself and to results. And start small, identify all the actions at the ground floor and think big. How can you actually achieve the vision that you dream about, and keep celebrating the progress so that the momentum is always there. All right. So with that, hopefully I don't bore you with this talk. We can have our question and answer, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So let me just switch back.
Sharing, so you feel comfortable.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, you can just stop sharing so that
Yeah,
you
let me
don't.
just stop here. Yeah. All right.
I think it's you covered all complete strategy execution part very nicely, Adhy.
Thank you.
Can you talk about some industry things? How do you do that? Okay. Yeah, there is one message. Today, one news is Indonesian president is a chief guest for us. Today is a Republic Day for India, and we saw good collaboration from Indian government and Indonesian government. So happy to hear that. So thank you, Lokesh. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah. So my typical questions again. So how is that industry practices in the strategy management in Indonesia? So how is that? Like right from the strategy formulation to the strategy execution. Yes. How is that the companies are shaping up? So are they using any frameworks or methodologies? Are they focusing on what is it? What is your feedback?
All right. So, okay. In my observation, most of the established organization, I think I can safely say like 60 to 70% of them are embracing balanced scorecard or some kind of KPI framework in the way they execute their strategy. So the way they do it, like usual, if I share the way my clients manage the strategy. So it started usually from their budgeting session, which they usually do during September and October. So with having the performance for that year, usually they need to plan for the next year. And the way to plan for next year, so they bring all the executives together, as I mentioned, in a strategy offsite meeting, go to Bali or somewhere nice, and then they will bring all the historical data, the performance that they achieve, and there they would actually discuss the strategy. And another common framework that we usually do is the Michael Porter's 5-horse model, right? So they will look at the micro environment, who's the competition, is there a substitution? And after looking at the external environment and then analyzing their internal performance, they need to formulate their first. Maybe they will revisit their vision, right? Vision. Okay, is this still relevant? And then they will cascade it down to the goals and all the balanced scorecard approach, and then have the strategic objective for each perspective for financial, customer, process. So all of those are done during the offsite meeting. Sometimes in Q4. After that, usually they go back and they cascade it to the one down of the C-level, the head of finance, head of IT, head of operations, or head of business. And these guys will have their own sessions with their, what they call it, director. And so the director will say that, okay, next year will be all about, for example, if they go to IT, next year will be all about AI. We were given X amount of budget. Guys, please translate this into your, KPI, right? How can this translate into our SLA? How can this translate into our, what do you call it, strategic initiatives? And it will, the guys usually will be given like, I don't know, 2 weeks to get back to their boss and say, okay, boss, okay, we can actually optimize this process. Can we actually propose to have larger storage because AI requires. And after that, long story short, come January, everything will be finalized. Everybody will be clear on what they need to do. Usually there will be like one big town hall session, where the CEO in one place, at the same time it's like usually a hybrid way. So somebody from all over Indonesia like listen to the CEO give the rah. Okay, this is our goal for the 2025. We sat down with your directors, and yeah, starting from there, it's all about execution. Monthly strategic review meeting, making sure that everything is happening. So yeah, so most of them, okay. Sorry if I take too long. Will have this. Yeah, we'll have this kind of approach. But the new companies, like you see, like the tech startups and everything, they don't have so much of a structured approach, so to speak. So usually the I don't know, the C-level will say that okay, our OKR guys will be about this new product for Gojek, GoFood. We need to deliver faster, what do you call it, service in 30 minutes, and then they execute, right? So yeah, I don't know whether this new, tech startup will actually in time embrace the structured way of doing things. Maybe once they get to scale, then they will see the value of having a structured approach rather than just, having smart people to execute things, shoot from their hip, things like that.
So how does that startups can embrace strategy management? That is something I think they will be doing something. It's not that they do all those strategy processes. Maybe in a very simple, in a simple way in their minds. Okay, so or maybe they structured it, but eventually they have to do all those stuff directly
Of
or
course,
indirectly.
yeah.
But maybe they don't need to do it very formal kind of thing. So yeah. So what about you have experience in non-profit, government, and also in the private sectors? How do you that government sector and non-profit sector work, especially in formulating strategies? Any light on that?
Yes, although I don't have first-hand experience on that, I have my friends because we exchange ideas, right? So especially in the government sector, they need to have this approach, structured approach, because they're accountable for a larger target, right? So if I can recall correctly, our celebrated Minister of Finance, Madam Sri Mulyani, back in 2000, I think 17, if I'm not mistaken, or quite some time ago, actually brought balanced scorecard to the Ministry of Finance themselves. So starting then, wow, everybody at first got scared, right? So hey, I need to be measured rather than just going to office and do whatever things that I need to do. I usually do. Now the head of the director, even the ministers will zoom into the strategy map and dashboard itself. So it actually worked very well. It did have its hiccups. I heard because as usual there's the old guards and saying, "Oh, this is too complex. We just do the way we do things." Yeah. So to answer your question, actually it's quite common to see the application of balanced scorecard in government organization, but in non-private, I don't have much visibility on that one. Yeah, but I'm sure there's some kind of application balanced scorecard.
Perfect. So I think we have a couple of minutes. So would you like to give any advice for the organizations what they should do for next in 2025 or so? So what is your key takeaway, Adhy?
Yes. Okay, my key key takeaway as a consultant, put my consultant hats on. Strategy at the end of the day, it's all about execution. So we need to be able to speak the language of the people at the organization. Strategy needs to be translated at their level, because at the end of the day, whether we can be successful, fast forward at the end of this year, it's all about those people at the shop floor knowing what to do and how to do it and by when. So that's the key that we need to make sure to happen. Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you, Adhy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the time.
So have a good time. Take care. I would like to thank on behalf of all participants and the organizers for your time, effort, and insights. So thank you, Adhy. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.